Welcome back to Talk Football Live. This is the ABC crew without the C. Charles is absent today. By the way, congratulations to Charles, a bouncy baby boy, just arrived. So congrats, brother. We'll see you when you. Thank you. Yeah. Again, I'm here. My name is Biodun, and this is my co-host Ayo. Ayo, thank you. Welcome back. I'm going to be the moderator today, so I'm going to be flying my Arsenal jersey. Plus, my protest with Arteta continues. It was a very sad loss, but we move on. Yeah, today we have a new guest. Welcome, Gbenga. Thank you very much. A loyal Newcastle fan. We're glad to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Biodun and Ayo. I'm happy to be on your platform. Yes.
Great.
Awesome.
Welcome here. So, our viewers, our guests, please continue to like, share, subscribe to Talk Football Live. Today we're going to be talking about that exciting league winner deciding game. As you know, Arsenal is currently third with a point behind Man City. Man City is second with a point behind Liverpool. But today is a very important game for Arsenal. They need to win. They need to keep the momentum going. Ignore the loss at Porto during the week and get another 3 points to continue to chase City and Liverpool. Arsenal is going to be playing against Newcastle. Newcastle is a very dogged team, as you know. Always been a difficult game for the Arsenal. So we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to run that through Howe and Gbenga. Are you guys ready?
Let's do this.
Ready. All right. Since this is an home game for Arsenal, I'm going to go straight to you, Howe. Ayo, what should the Arsenal fans expect today?
Well, for one, I'm hoping we continue our form in the Premier League. Since the start of the year, it's been really good. I think 21 goals scored so far, only 2 goals conceded. I'm expecting or hoping that we continue that steamrolling against Newcastle. Particularly because I'm still really pissed about that last game. That 1-0 loss still grinds me a little bit, especially when I was watching the highlights again yesterday. So, I'm hoping we come out blazing and we don't even give Newcastle a sniff. I'm expecting them to come out, and try to disrupt the flow of Arsenal as always, but I hope we find a way through and we keep the steamrolling going.
Awesome. Higher. Gbenga, I'm going to come to you. I'm sure you were excited when you saw the scoreline, Arsenal Porto during the week. What did that do to you? Did it boost your confidence about this game? Tell me, what are you expecting? What should the Newcastle fans hope to see?
I mean, if the fact that Arsenal lost midweek would give them more impetus to want to do better, and they'll take out that anger against Newcastle. But Newcastle is attempting to win a third successive away win, so they're in a sort of a good form in spite of its injury concerns. So my expectation is, the minimum we should come out with at the Emirates should be a draw. And I say this because of certain conditions. Arsenal is one of the top teams in the Premier League. They've been punching, they're serious contenders this time around because they normally capitulate around Christmas. But for them to still be in the title race in February shows that, Arteta has tweaked a few things. So it will never, and Newcastle has not had a good record coming to the Emirates or Highbury before then. We always get bit by Arsenal. So I'm hoping for a draw.
Hoping for a draw. Similar to what we saw last season. You remember last season when you guys came and kind of blocked everywhere? As recorded, I think the 90 minutes game, we only played 55 to 57 minutes of the game. You remember the game?
Yes. It was a very tight one, and we got our tactics right. And I know Arsenal will be looking at revenging, because I remember when you came to St. James's Park earlier this season, it was very controversial. Arsenal fans are still bitter over that game. So there's a lot to play for Arsenal. So I just hope we don't end up, because of we don't have the complement of our full squad. There's a lot of, injury concerns. We have Sandro Tonali suspended for gambling. There's also Wilson is out, and so many of our solid players. Joe Linton is a one man, is one person, but it plays like it's 3 people. Yeah, his physical presence. We miss that a lot, but we have young Lewis Miley that has been doing a great job so far this season. But I really look forward to the game. It's just that it's 8 p.m. Kickoff here. That's pretty late, but let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, for our viewers probably watching, that's why we appreciate Gbenga for joining us, not just joining us for the first time, but also joining us far away. And we appreciate you. Thank you very much. We are
Welcome.
in a different part of the world, and Gbenga is on a different part of the world. So, but that's what technology gives you, man, being able to bring everybody together. So, we appreciate you for coming and being able for us to do this. But I want to go back to the team formation for Newcastle before I come back to you, Hayo. You guys are struggling with injury concerns. I don't know if the news around Isak and uh, Isak and
Joe.
Willock is true regarding their fitness. What do you know, Gbenga, concerning
I
the
mean,
injury? Can you walk us through the possible team formation that you think Eddie Howe will be putting out there?
there's still quite a lot of people on. We start from our very reliable goalkeeper that got us into Champions League. A lot of people forget that Newcastle played Champions League football earlier this season, and we beat PSG at home. Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember? So when you talk about so when you talk about Newcastle, you put some respect on our name, please. We're Champions League playing Newcastle United Football Club. So Nick Pope is out, Joe Linton is out, Callum Wilson is out, Mark Target is out. Fabian Schär looks. I mean, it's doubtful. He's been one of the best defenders in the Premier League, and he also gets in on the goal, so it's very useful. But there's
Not a
also
rocket of a shot.
yes, and Bruno. I mean, Bruno is in the game, but there's too much suspension hanging over his head because he's on 9 bookings. So I mean, if he plays, he's a very reliable defensive midfielder for Newcastle, and it commands I'm happy as long as Bruno is in the squad and our captain.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool question. I know you talked about Fabian Schär, which could be a concern, but I think you have Lascelles back, who is fit and he might take his place. Should we expect to see the same formation that you guys played against Beaumont the last time, where you have
2-2
Miguel Amiron and
Amiron?
starting? Or this time around, what would change if Isak, is declared fit? How would you rearrange?
I mean, if Isak is fit, I mean, it helps us as a world-class player on us day when he's fit. That means it will push Gordon to the left. He'll play him from the left, and he'll be able to, trouble the Arsenal defenders and make those runs because his natural position is playing from the wings. It was odd to see him play as a 9 in the last game, but we managed to pull a draw the last minute. So I mean, losing at St James's Park to Bournemouth would have been disastrous. But we're happy to have. It'll be nice to have Isak back. I've not been able to confirm if he'll be. It's just anticipation, and there's also talks of Joe Willock that he might be in the squad for today's games. But I'm not happy with the injury list. We were missing out the core of our team, and it shows that. And in January, we didn't do any signings, so I'm not very hopeful about the season. And I don't think we're going to make Champions League this season. It's just let's have a decent finish, and then we'll build permanently. I'm not one of those people that say, "Oh, Eddie Howe should go because we play Champions League football." He brought us from. You need to remember where Newcastle was. Mike Ashley. We were just happy not to be relegated, and this guy in 2 seasons got us to Champions League football without breaking the bank. Without buying Galacticos type players. I mean, he got the players, the regular guys, playing like like they were he brought the talent in every one of them. Look at Longstaff, for example, scoring in the Champions League game, and so many of the other squad players. Miguel Almiron got the best out of them. Jamal Lascelles, captain, he made him believe that, look, you guys can do a lot. So I'm happy with him, Danny Murphy, and a lot of people. But the game is very competitive. If you do not spend, and financial fair play rules are, a sort of handicap for us. So we're not able, even though we're the richest club in the world, we're not able to just go to the market and
That's
buy.
why I want to come back.
Let's
That's
buy
why I want to
Messi.
come back to that
Let's buy
topic.
Ronaldo.
Yeah, that's why I want to come back to that topic because you guys have a very big sugar daddy, right? You have some financial guy. If you want to, I don't know why you're not spending it. I don't know why you're not doing the city style, even though you have folks that can bankroll you. But I'm going to come back to that, or maybe another topic for another day. I want to come back to you. What is the Arsenal formation going to look like? What should the Arsenal fans expect? Who is fit? Who is not fit? And one thing that people don't talk about, Arsenal has been suffering from, we had quite a lot of important
massive injuries,
but we don't talk about it. People don't pay attention to it. Instead, they talk about that very big squad of Chelsea that has so many people out. So walk me through what's going on.
yeah. So from what we're seeing, or from as far as I can tell, I expect Arteta to start the same formation that has started the last two games. We've had Zinchenko out, and he's still unavailable for this game. So Kiwior will continue his role at left back. Centre back of Gabriel and Saliba will continue. Ben White at right back. The midfield will be unchanged again as well, with Havertz, Rice, and Odegaard. I think maybe where the question mark comes is if one of Havertz or Trossard gets a break and he brings in Jorginho. Just for a little more control. He tends to appreciate the ability of Jorginho to break passes through the lines, which we know Newcastle is going to try as much as possible to disrupt the flow of the game. I think, like you said, right, the last time we faced Newcastle, the ball was actually only in play for about 55 to 57 minutes. So they're going to look to foul a lot. They're going to look to, play for set pieces and get the ball out, just to prevent Arsenal from getting into the groove of that, beautiful passing football that we love to see. It'll be Saka and Martinelli up front against, whoever he decides to pick of Havertz and Trossard if Jorginho comes into the side. So that's what I'm expecting. One interesting record that, I was pleased to see is that Newcastle apparently haven't scored away at Arsenal since 2014.
Wow.
So the record is that if we're able to at least score, it's, the stats are currently against Newcastle for, also being able to get a goal. So maybe based on that, the best Newcastle can hope for is 0-0. But we all know records are there to be broken. So that's nothing necessarily, to base the analysis of the game on. Just an interesting stat that I came across. But in terms of the lineup, I think where the joy might be for us is down the wings. One, because we've seen Trippier struggle a little bit defensively this season. He's not been as reliable as we've come to know of him the past few seasons. He tends to get caught out of possession a lot, and with Martinelli's pace, that's where we can maybe find some joy down the left. And also with Saka, I'm really pleased that Joelinton is out, because in the past few games when we've played against Newcastle, Joelinton has double teamed up a lot with Dan Burn, on that left side. Whenever Saka and Odegaard try to come in the middle, they always run into Joelinton. Like you said, it's like three men in that space, bigger. So Saka and Odegaard and White down that right, they always find it hard to get past Joelinton and Dan Burn, because Joelinton just covers so much ground, and he's very physical. He's able to shock people off the ball. So let's see how Lewis Miley does with that challenge. But I, for one, I'm happy that he won't be available in this game.
Awesome.
I'm very concerned. Sorry to come in
No,
here.
no,
I'm
go
very
ahead.
concerned about Dan Burn. But I don't know why Eddie Howe has so much faith in him, even if he's not been consistent. I mean, he's not pacey. He can be a bit clumsy, and he's cost us games in the recent past. But Eddie Howe sticks to him, regardless of what he does on the pitch. So I don't think as a manager you should be rewarding bad performances. He should go to the bench. But I'm sure Arsenal will be happy to see him on the team list, and he will really struggle against a very pacey Arsenal. So I have two expectations here: a draw, and I'm being very realistic here. A draw for Newcastle, or it might be a bloodbath because of certain weaknesses in the team, especially Dan Burn. But I mean, as a fan, I will hope for the best. It should make for interesting viewing. I remember the 4-4
Yeah.
game. Yes, that was a classic. So
Oh man,
let's see. And Arsenal really needs all points. So
We need
the
it.
odds are
We
stacked
need it.
against Newcastle. Yeah.
That's absolutely right. Us not dropping points. Come on, man. You might as well just forget any up left. But you're right. Just to be transparent, the 4-4 every time we play and we're leading 3-0, 4-0. I still
It's at the
remember.
back of your mind.
Like,
Yeah.
like I still remember, like it's happened before, it could happen again. I don't know if you guys remember when we're beating West Ham and the commentator mentioned, well, it's happened before. Let's see whether it's not going to happen again. I'm like, oh my God, you say that? But anyway, I have a question for you, Gbenga. You said a draw, or you said maybe a bloodbath, but as a fan, you want to stick to a draw.
Yeah, because you guys have
Where
been.
do you see a win? And if you see a win, how will that win come around for Newcastle? Let's assume the possibility of a win for Newcastle.
I mean, it's the squad. when we have the full complement of our squad, I believe we can beat anybody. And just a few months ago, we beat PSG. I mean, PSG, billionaire club, with Mbappe and all of them. No, we just didn't beat them. It wasn't a lucky 1-0.
Well, you won the battle with PSG. You then win the war with PSG. PSG knocked you out eventually. So just want to
yes, but that game, if I should play PSG, I'm not sure you'll be able to
for a game.
I don't think you're able to put 4 past them. So let me enjoy some of those good moments. Those few rare moments.
On their day, with the best teams in the world.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, Arsenal they're scoring for fun now. There's a momentum. There's Porto broke that, but that's Champions League football, not the Premier League. Maybe they wear a different type of hat when they play in the Premier League, because Arsenal has been scoring goals for fun. So I said a bloodbath, because if it doesn't end in a draw, I don't think Arsenal is just going to score 1-0 I expect to see lots of goals in this game, because it's going to be free-flowing football, transparent, and let's hope Eddie Howe, with the limited selections he has, is able to just do something to stop this Arsenal train, because Arsenal isn't smiling. They really want to win the league this season, and they're in a good position.
You still haven't answered my question, Gbenga. Before I go to where do you see a win for Newcastle, and how do you see that win coming around? Where's the possibility of a win?
Look, I'm a fan, and I want Newcastle to win, but maybe Almiron. I don't know. Like, it's very hard for me to think of where that win is going to come from. Anthony Gordon is very
like a ball out of bounds, but the referee probably was on sleep and they allowed.
It's a game of football. At the end of the day, you never know. I'm looking forward to coming back after Newcastle wins, because you're not showing any level of humility.
Oh no!
You've already concluded that
I promise you, Liverpool Newcastle game, I'm going to have you, and there's a fantastic co-host and a friend here. You're going to enjoy having the talk with him, Lopsy. He is the most. I'm being sarcastic now. Most humble host.
So I mean, if
we've had on this stage. So anyway, we're gonna go back.
So if Newcastle, I don't know. I don't see a win from that game. It will be a bonus, because no Isak, no Wilson. We couldn't do any shopping. No Joe Linton, exactly. So I don't know what the long starts. But Trippier is a leader, and his assist has been immense. And one good news from the last game is we have Harvey Barnes is back as a quality player. So if they can keep things tight, my concern is at the back, especially Dan Burn. If it doesn't start, maybe I'll be hopeful because
I
you
mean,
need
you
to
guys have
outscore.
Lascelles. You can move Lascelles
Yeah,
if
but
you want.
ourselves too is it's not world class, and we need to move beyond that. If we want to play Champions League football, we need to
Yeah.
shed a lot of those and old players, and also invest in young talent. And we also need squad depth because I think playing in the Champions League was a distraction for us. If we had focused on
Mm.
Premier League football, if we didn't play those extra games, we wouldn't
Come on,
we
Gbenga,
wouldn't
Gbenga,
be
Gbenga.
eighth position today.
I agree with you. I see your point that you're trying to make. But big boys, when I say big boys, I'm talking about top four of the
Hmm.
EPL, right? They don't
Yeah,
make a sense. You know why?
we're top four.
Okay, because when you're top four, you already know you have like five competitions, right?
Hmm.
Premier League, Europe, FA Cup, Carabao, then all these other fringes, right? You have that, right? So when you are
Yes,
in that category, you don't complain. That's why you spend more than the others. That's why you have a very deep squad so that you can rotate. Now, last question before I go to Ayo. Is Sandro
Mm.
totally a miss for Newcastle with the current situation?
of course. I mean, look at him at AC Milan. He's a top quality world class player, and I can't wait for him to come back. And I think he'll be back like a beast because he's still. The good thing is he's still training with the squad, and
Yeah.
it was just a silly thing. And I'm happy the team stayed with him and they've supported him throughout his ordeal. And I hope he's learned his lessons from gambling. But he's a huge miss. He's a huge, huge miss. So him coming back after a suspension would be like a new signing. So I look forward to having him back in the squad. And
Awesome.
we
Awesome.
also look forward to, I mean, signing world class players
Like, like,
like Messi. Now
okay.
Messi is past us, like Mbappe, like Mbappe.
All right. We're gonna come back to that. Maybe we can even have Mbappe join us and discuss potential landing. Ayo, let me come to you. Um,
Yeah.
how confident are you that this is going to be an Arsenal win? Now, I mean, the way Benga described this thing, it made me feel so good. But I tell you, man, I'm not buying it. I am not buying everything Benga is selling. I have watched Newcastle for the last 3-4 seasons. Eddie Howe has created a style that we know as Newcastle identity, and that is how they block. Whether they do a low block or they do a mid block or they do an hybrid, they know how to mess you up. And when they want to win, I've said this before in my previous shows with you guys. Newcastle rides on their fans, on the chants of their fans. I worry when I play them at home because the fans they try to imitate and do like the Liverpool style. That's another thing that they do. They're not there yet, but they try to do that. Now, this season has not been great. They lost some few games at home, but when you play them at home, the fans just help them going. When they go away, they totally decide that okay, you are superior, which most coaches don't do. But Eddie Howe plays in the way that okay, you're superior. I'm not going to play toe to toe with you. I'm just going to stay back, sit back, frustrate you, win the ball, counter, right? I think that's what I'm expecting to see. I think Porto is another reminder for Eddie that this is how you used to play. Don't go and try
Mm.
to be better than who you are. Be
Mm.
yourself. And I think for the fact that Porto did that against us, it kind of worries me, Hayo. Talk me through my fears, Hayo. How do you see an Arsenal win?
Well, I think one thing to note from Porto, right, is Porto played a near perfect game. And that game was, in my opinion, was practically a draw, save for that last winning shot. I think there was a bit of naivety from us. I don't know if it's the I don't know how you call it, the occasion or the stage at which they were playing, thinking, oh, it's the round of 16 of the Champions League. They wanted to maybe dominate the way they've been dominating, and it's that last ball out of Martinelli. I've thought about it so many times, and I don't think he thought about it before trying to play that ball. Um, where the space was for Saka was actually behind the defender, but he tried to get it through the defender, which I think was just the mistake. And Porto kept that, what you call a mid block, where they pressed very high. And I don't know if you remember, there were a couple of times that we broke through. I think of Kai Havertz breaking through midfield at one point, or I think it was Martinelli down the left.
Martinelli
Whenever
had
that
some
happened,
issue.
whenever that
Yeah.
happened, the player that it was that got beaten took the yellow card and just pulled the player back, because when you get Arsenal breaking through your lines, that's when you're really at trouble. And I think Newcastle did that a lot in the last game as well. It's actually unbelievable that someone like Bruno didn't get a red card. In that last game, there were times it was actual punches. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's rare to see that in football, and get he didn't even get a yellow card. So I don't know if Newcastle is going to bring things like that, those kinds of tactics back in this game. But I think, as Gbenga alluded to earlier, right, the problem for Newcastle at the moment is their defense. They're conceding goals, and we saw Newcastle struggle with this quite a bit last season. I think it was around December, and then by the time we played them in January, he had gone back to locking things down, right? So the question is he going to try and match Arsenal toe to toe, which I think would be their downfall? Or is he going to say,
Yeah.
you know what, we're going to come here, we're going to play for the draw, we're going to put 9 men, behind the ball and try to just, defend with our lives in here? So I think that's where the question is. I'm happy, like I said earlier, that Jolinton is not available because he covers so much ground and protects that. Even though he's not the defensive midfielder, he protects that area of the pitch on the left side where he operates, both joining in attack and covering the defense, covering Dan Burn. Lewis Miley has done a good job since he's come in, but I saw him, against Bournemouth. I don't know if he'll be up to the task against the likes, the way Saka, Odegaard, and White combined down that
Yeah.
right, we're likely to find some joy. Nick Pope is a huge miss. There's just something about, I think, goalkeepers, the best goalkeepers, command an aura. It even gives the defenders
Uh,
the ability
Extra
to
confidence. Yeah.
extra confidence. There's just that confidence is missing from the back at the moment for Newcastle. And so I think, like Benga said, they're missing some big, big players. Us, on the other hand, we have someone like Party, who is, I think, going to be fit enough for the bench. And so we have our full complement of players. We're missing a lot of players too, like you said, Biodun. Jesus is out. People forget that Jesus has been out a lot this season. We've, barely had Jesus fit this season. Timber, who was supposed to be our replacement for Zinchenko, is essentially out. Tomiyasu has been unavailable most of the season as well. So we're missing some real key players. Party has hardly played this season as well. But our core 11, who has been starting the less, I would say 11 to 13 players are available. And that's, where the joy is for us.
Awesome analysis. By the way, Hayo, are
Yeah.
we likely to have Jesus available for this game?
No, Jesus is out of this game still.
Confirmed still.
Jesus is out.
And
Confirmed. Zinchenko is also unavailable for sure.
Tomiyasu.
Tomiyasu is unavailable for sure.
Okay, so that's why you kind of alluding to the same formation. Now you mentioned something
Mhm.
about midfield. Should we just be cautious and do the right thing at the beginning and start this game with Jorginho, or you think uh, just Rice should start this game with attacking? I'm just worried about what we saw at Porto. I think we might need to start with Jorginho and Rice to have more control. What do you think?
I think he might bring in Jorginho because if Newcastle try to set up the same way Porto did, and I hope he actually starts Jorginho against Porto. Like I said, that mid block works fantastically until you're breaking the lines, because there's always space behind the back. And because there's a sort of high press, the defense is a bit disconnected. So you actually don't want anybody breaking beyond your lines. And Jorginho is fantastic at that. He's fantastic at those one-time balls over the top. I don't remember which game it was. I think it was maybe West Ham. He came on the last few minutes and he played fantastic balls over the top to Martinelli to go score. But Martinelli came in, I think, the last 15, 20 minutes and got 2 goals that way. So I actually hope he starts. I think, we're due for something, a sort of refresher. Trossard and Havertz, one of them, should need a break at this point, and it might be a way for us to freshen up the game and find a way to break through Newcastle.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Well, gentlemen, this has been great. This has been a very good analysis of the game. Now, last question before we take predictions.
Mm.
Uh, Benga, I know I've asked
Yeah.
you this question, so I'm trying to ask it in a different way. Who is going to be the game decider? And I'm talking about the individual player. Who is going to be Newcastle star man in this game? And I want three names that can possibly change this game and give you the possible. If your possible outcome still remains a draw, who are those three
Yeah.
players that will ensure that you get a draw?
I mean, Trippier, his back, he had a bit of a blip, and Ayo mentioned it earlier, but I think he's gained his confidence as a senior player. He's been captain fantastic. He's his services have been great. He's assisted a lot in the last few seasons, and even at this season. So Trippier is always a valuable player. We also have in the squad Bruno Guimaraes. He is one solid player, so I'm happy he's in the squad. These are potential game changers. Then Anthony Gordon, on his day, his work rate is unbelievable, and he has this amazing runs it does that's cutting and shoot from inside the box. So any one of I'm happy we have those two, but any one of this three players could be a game changer for Newcastle. So I'm hoping we do better than a draw, but just being realistic and looking at our position and the way things are, I would take a draw at the
I think I
Emirates.
heard you mention Anthony Gordon. You mentioned Trippier. Who is the third person?
Bruno
Bruno.
Guimaraes. Yeah.
Guimaraes, just tell him if he plays the way he typically plays, he's going to miss the next. I know. My think about the next game. Like this one, let's do this one first. But
Yeah.
there is no way. I mean, even when he plays with Jolinton, that guy hears about City, hears about Arsenal, he just go crazy. Like
Oh yes, he likes the big games.
he likes the big games and it goes crazy. So I would not expect a quiet game. Honestly, I think Guimaraes will be making some silly tackles. I just hope that he doesn't take out my guys for too long. It's probably going to be throughout the I mean, that's the way he plays. So I'm gonna miss Jolinton. I don't like him, but it makes the game fiery. So we're gonna miss him.
Yeah.
Jolinton, watch from the TV wherever you are. Ayo, players, Arsenal players that will make a difference. That you think will make a difference.
Yeah, my star boy, I can't look past him. I know
Hmm.
Okay.
you have some qualms with him occasionally, but for me, he always delivers, and that's Bukayo Saka, right? He has 4 goals from the last 2 games. He's our leading assist and goal scorer again this season. I'm expecting he will make the difference. And, I talked about there being some weakness there down the right for him against Dan Burn. So that's one. Martinelli, if Trippier gets caught out of position, Martinelli will find spaces because of his pace. So Martinelli is the second one I would go for. And Declan Rice, because, regardless of who it is, that Newcastle midfield is dogged. The Geordies, they're known for being hardworking. They will run. Sean Longstaff, he needs to pick up those runs of Sean Longstaff into the box. Uh, so Declan Rice is going to be key protecting that back four. Alongside with whoever plays with him. Those are my 3 key men for this game.
Awesome. Ayo, last question for you. Is
Hmm.
Kiwo for you in this game? Jakob Kiwo.
Used to be a concern, just to be honest. I I know you've had your doubts, and I see where you're going with that question. But
It's
Keyword,
a quick flash. So I'm sure you know, and I'm not going to hide it. Arsenal Newcastle has always been a physical game. Forget the
Hmm.
tactics of the game.
yeah,
Those two sides, Arsenal
yeah,
is one of those games that Arsenal don't like playing physical, but they know that they have to. Just like when they have to
hmm,
raise up their game
yeah,
against Liverpool, because Newcastle is going to come out physical.
hmm,
They don't respect. They don't.
hmm,
I don't like playing them. I don't enjoy it unless when I get a very good result. It's always tough. So Q,
yeah.
I think the soft player on the team. So that's why I asked you that question.
So Kiwa, I thought Kiwa wasn't ready to be starting yet, but the last 2 or 3 games, I think he's been stable. I'll use that word stable. Um, Oh man, there's so many games I can recall where he was soft. Balls into the box where I think I saw him duck one time, or he'd lose the ball, and instead of standing up to recover, he'd like try to roll around on the ground and look at the ref to try and get a foul. But I think he's been more stable. He's shown a little bit more nous the last few games where, he takes the fouls when he needs to. If he sees he's gotten beaten, he'll just pull the player down or, bring the player down. I think I'd be more worried if, depending on, again, how Eddie Howe sets up, if he plays Miggy Almiron down the right, I think I'd be okay with, Kiwa going up against him. If he plays someone else who is
pace wise, you think Cameron Kiwa can match?
not pace wise, but because Miguel Almiron is left footed and he's going to try to cut into the middle where he's going to come into Declan Rice and Gabriel and whoever else is playing in the middle. If he was a winger who he plays down, let's say Jacob Murphy starts on the right, or Harvey Barnes starts on the right, or even Anthony Gordon, I'd be a lot more worried. Those players who are going to face up and go down the wing against Kiwa, I'd be a lot more worried. I think we see, because Kiwa is actually really a centre back. And I think we see the same kind of struggles from Guardiola at City. When Guardiola comes up against a typical winger, someone who is going to go down to the byline, she struggles a lot. I particularly remember, I think, Pedro Neto against him a couple of games ago. When a player goes to the byline and drives in down the byline against him, there's always space behind him. And I think Kiwa has that same kind of weakness. If it's Miguel Almiron on the right starting, I think we'll be fine. If it's a different winger, a different profile of player that goes down that right, we might be in trouble there.
All right. Gbenga, are you comfortable giving a prediction? I know you're sticking with a draw. Are you able?
Yes, I am. So, look, when you look at statistics, Arsenal has been scoring goals for fun in the last few games they've played in the Premier League. But also, this same Premier League, Newcastle United is hoping to win its third consecutive, I think third or fourth away. We won at Forest. We've gotten a few good results away. So maybe there's something away games do to us because the expectations are lower and you don't have the pressure of trying to impress your home fans. So, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Arsenal will definitely score. We also have a weak link in Dan Burn, so they would exploit that. So 2-2. That's my prediction.
Okay.
Ayo.
I'm going to go with a 2-0. 2-0 home win for Arsenal. Yeah. I don't think it'll be as high scoring, but I think we'll definitely get some goals. I expect... You don't think Newcastle won't be able to score? I think with Callum...
I was saying I don't think it's going to be an high-scoring goal. I think now very well is very risk averse. It's very cautious, and he knows what to do sometimes when things are not like. He's not going to take a risk. He's not going to gamble. He's not going to be full of himself and come out to Emirates and say, "You guys can do it." I don't think it would. I don't think it would.
I hope he does. Come on, face us. You're a big boy. Come on.
2-0-2-2. Well, it's been nice having you guys.
What is your prediction, Biodun? What do you think?
Oh my God, higher.
You always try to get away from the predictions.
I think we will. I think we should get a win. I think we should get a win. I try to get away from prediction, and that's because the guys have been messing with my mind when I think. Yeah.
Oh, you think?
Oh no, it's a different issue for me this season, right? And I think I've explained this. I don't know if people get me. I expect us to show that maturity, a mature team. But I think I'm still struggling with our mental capability. I don't know if we are there yet. I think it's the mental, tactically we are good, talented, the boys are. They understand the game, they understand the instruction from the managers, they know what the managers want. I think it's that mental strength that I don't think we are there as a top 2, top 3 team, like a team that is ready to challenge City. And an example is when the results matter. Our boys just get lazy or tired, fatigue, right? You said they've been scoring for fun. Porto wasn't a way for you to show that, hey man, are you breaking now? You know what I mean? So I think that is still the struggle that but I think I should give it to the team because the injuries, people have not talked about it, and it's really serious. Important players have been out, and people don't notice that Partey has missed a lot of games, same as Jesus. So I think we are growing in other areas to compensate for the other areas that are not growing. And that is where I worry. This time last season, Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli are high scoring. This season, they've been struggling for goals, but the goals have been shared. And that's because we brought in a set piece idea. So we've been better with our set pieces. But open play, we've kind of gone down. So that's for me when I'm trying to assess whether a team is growing. Are you growing in all areas from last season? And I don't think we are. So that's where I struggle with their mental strength to get to that maturity level of City, right? But again, I think we're gonna win. I think it's gonna be a slim margin. I think the worst will be a draw. So if I had to predict, maybe 2-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah. I was hoping we'll have Jesus back just to give Harvard some break. Because, I mean, this is the kind of game that we might need to be a bit chaotic to move down bonds.
Find something.
Fabian Shah move them around. I mean, the Porto game, if you had somebody that was willing to dribble like 3-4 players, it would have changed a lot of things. But we kept on doing the passing thing. They already knew that you're going to pass. Why do you keep passing? Can somebody just be bold enough and just walk through? Yellow card, they'll take a red. You understand what I'm like? There are some tactical things you do when all this mid-block thing is looking effective from the opponent side of you.
Yeah.
But people like Ashavin, Kazola, those days, they will take the matters into their hand and walk through the opponent. They either go through or you foul them, you get on a red card, or something magical happen. Alexis Sanchez, those guys who just driving, So that's what I'm expecting. I think our new managers are changing this game too much, that they are taking away freedom from players. Players like Martinelli should be given more freedom to continue to dribble. But you notice the way we play today, when it's 1v2, 1v3, then they pass.
I think maybe one thing to note is Jesus might be on the bench because Arteta tends to do this thing where he likes to hide the availability of Jesus, and I don't think he'll start. He wasn't noticed in training, but maybe there's a chance he makes the bench. So we'll see.
Yeah,
but I like you said, I think we definitely need him back for the Porto game.
Yeah, especially when you play against teams like Newcastle and what Porto did. You just need a player that's going to take the ball and dribble and create open space forcefully, force the opponent to create spaces. So, Gbenga, thank you for coming.
Awesome.
Thank you, Biodun. Thank you, Ayo. I look forward to doing this again, and hopefully we'll spring a surprise. It will be a good game. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, let's enjoy the game. Let's enjoy.
Thank you,
All right.
gentlemen.
Yes.